Oh, right. Wait, I forgot to name the song. Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back again with me, Muhammad Gifari, and so we will continue reading Alice in the Wonderland. And today we are in chapter 3, A Carcass Race and Longtail. So, chapter 3. They were indeed a queer-looking party that assembled on a bank, the birds with dragon feeders, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross, and uncomfortable. The first questions, of course, was how to get dry again. They had a consultations about this, and after a few minutes, it seems quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as she had known them all her life. Indeed, had quite a long argument with the lorry, who at last turned sulky and would only say, "I'm older than you, and must know better," and this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was. And as she as the lorry positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last, the most, who seemed to be a person of some authority among them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I will make you try enough." And after a few minutes, it seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as she had known them all her life. Indeed, she had quite a long argument with the lorry, who at last turned sulky and would only say, "I'm older than you, and you must know better." And this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was. And as the lawyer positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last the most, who seemed to be a person of some authority among them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, listen to me. I will make you try enough." The others sat down at once, and the large ring with the most in the middle. Alice kept her eyes anxiously fixed on it, for her for for she felt sure uh said the most with an important air. "Are you all ready? This is the driest thing and now." Silence all around. If you please, William the Conqueror, whose cause was favored by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the Anglics, who wanted leaders. By Anglics, who wanted leaders and had been there of late much customs of usurpations and conquests. Edwin and Moscow, who ills of Mercia, Northumbria, Tumbria. "Ah," said the lawyer, "we will receive her." "I beg your pardon," said the mouse, rowing with very politely. "Did you speak?" "Not I," said the lawyer hastily. "I thought you did," said the mouse. "I proceed." Edwin and Morsa, with this measure of Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stingad, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it ad- advisable. "Found what?" said the dog. "Found it," the mouse replied scarcely. "Of course you know what it means." "No, no, it means well enough. When I find a thing," said the dog, "it is generally for whom. The question is, what is an archbishop find?" The mouse did not notice this question, but what uh, but hurriedly went on. "Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William and offer him the crown." William's conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans How are you getting on now, my dear? It continued, turning to Alice as it spoke. As wet as ever, said Alice in melancholy tone. It doesn't seem to dry me at all. In that case, said Dodo solemnly, rising to its feet, I moved that the meeting adjourned with an immediate adoption of more energetic remedies. Speak English, said the eaglet. I don't know the meaning of sorry. Sorry. Of all those long words. And what's more, I don't believe you do either. And the eaglet bent down its head to hide a smile. Some of other birds tittered audibly. What I was going to say, said the dodo in the offended tone, was that the best thing to get us dry would be Caucasus race. What is Caucasus race? Said Alice. Not that she much wanted to know, but the dodo had paused as if it thought that somebody ought to speak, and no one else seemed inclined to say anything. Why? Said the dodo. The best way to explain it is to do it. And as you might like to try the thing yourself and some with today, I will tell you how. The dodo manage it. First, it marked out race course in a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party were placed along the course here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3 away, but they began running then when they liked, and left off when they liked, so that it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running half an hour or so, and were quite dry again, the dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over!" But they all crowded around the painting and asking, like, who was won. This question the dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it sat for a long time with a finger pressed upon its forehead. The positions in which you usually see Shakespeare in his picture of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last the dodo said everybody was won, and almost half the price, but who have to give the prices? Quite Chris, Chris, uh, the question is Dodo could not answer with a great deal of thought and it sat for a long time with no longer pressed upon its forehead. The position is as usually sees Shakespeare and the picture of him while the rest waited in silence. At last Dodo says everybody's won and almost have prizes, but who has given the prizes? What equals voices asks. Voices, of course, said Dodo, pointing to Alice with one finger, and the whole party at once crowded round her, calling out the confused way. Prizes, prizes! Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hand in pocket and pulled out of the box comfort. So luckily the sad water had not got into it, and handed them round as a prize. As a prize, all right. But she must have the prizes of herself, said the mouse. Of course, the dodo replied her very gravely. What else have you got in your pocket? He went on, turning to Alice. Only a tremble, said Alice sadly, and into over here, said the dodo. Then on further round her once more, well, the dodo zombie presented the tremble, saying, "We beg you acceptance of its good, elegant timber." And when it had finished this short speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very absurd. Alice thought she whole things very absurd, but Dell looked so grave that she did not dare to laugh, and she could not think of. I think to say she simply bowed and looked at the table, looking unsolid and good. The text was to it, the conflicts discussed some mercy conflicts and the last bits of different this and the small ones choked and had to be patted on the back. However, was lost and pat down on the ring and begged Moss to tell them something more. He promised to tell you your his story, said Alice, and which you had C and D, and added in a whisper, however, that it would be offended again. Mine is a long and sad tale, said the mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. It is a long tale, certainly, said Alice, looking down with wonder at the mouse tail. But why do you call it sad? And she kept on puzzling about it while the mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. Who said to a mouse that he met in the house, let us but go to law, I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial, we must have a trial, for really this morning I've nothing to do, said the mouse to the cure. Such a trial, dear sir, with no jury of judge would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury, said, what, said cunning of fury. I'll tell you whole cause and condemn you to death. You are not attending, said the most to Alice severely. What are you thinking of? I beg your pardon, said Alice humbly. You had not to the fifth bed, I think. I had not, cried the most sharply and very angrily. And not, said Alice, always ready to make herself useful and looking anxiously about her. Oh, do let her to undo it. I shall do nothing of the sort, said the mouse, getting on, walking away. You insult me by taking such nonsense. I didn't mean it, said poor Alice, but you are easily offended. The mouse only growled in reply. Please come back and finish your story, Alice called after it. And the others joined in the chorus. Yes, please do. But the mouse only shook said impatiently and walked a little quicker. What a pity, said the lorry as soon as bit of sight. An old crab opportunity saying to her daughter, oh dear, it is a blessing and never to your temple. Put your tongue, ma, said the young crab. Isn't this tipsy? You enough to try and passion of the oyster. I wish I had our dinner here. I know I do, said Alice aloud. Addressing nobody in particular, she soon fetched it back. Then who is dinner, if I might venture to ask the question, said the lorry. Alice replied occasionally, for she was always ready to talk about her pet. Dinner is our cat, and there's more capital of catching mice than you can think. I know, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why she'll a little bit as soon as look at it. Despite customary sensation among the party, some of birds hurried off at once. One old magpie began warping itself very carefully, remarking, I really must be getting home. The night air doesn't sweet my throat. And Canary called out in its trembling voice in its children, come away, my dears. It's out in the furious protection. Alice soon very alone. I wish I had mentioned Diana, she said to herself, melancholy tone. Nobody seemed to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Dina, I wonder if I shall ever see anyone. And her poor Alice began to cry again, for she felt very lonely and low spirited. And in a moment while, however, she began her to a little pattering of footsteps in distance, and she looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish his story. Okay, that's all about the chapter 3. We move to the next chapter, in chapter 4, on the next video. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.